Have you ever been out late at night, wandering the remote highways and byways of East Anglia, and spotted in the corner of your eye something? Something with huge red eyes, shaggy black fur, and monstrous sharp teeth? Something with a howl that makes your blood run cold, and with footfalls that make no sound? If so, congrats! You're one of a number of people throughout history to have had and survived an encounter with a creature that some refer to as Black Shuck. Now, Black Shuck is a ghost/demon dog that's particularly tied to the low-lying marshy wilds of East Anglia, home of Coleman's mustard and the world's first hovercraft. He is by no means the only big scary hound that haunts remote footpaths in British folklore. As a matter of fact, wherever you're from in the UK, it's entirely possible that you'll have come across a similar mythical monster with some qualities in common. For now though, forget all those other dogs. We're here to talk about Black Shuck. Accounts of encounters with this fluffy little fella are immensely varied. Some people say he's the size of a greyhound. Some people say he's the size of a cow. Most people say he has glowing red eyes, but there's not always agreement on whether he has one or two. Some people say he glows in the dark, like a Scooby-Doo villain, while others insist that he can pass through solid objects as though he's nothing more than vapour. What people generally agree upon, though, is that he's a dog, or dog-like creature, and that he's got a mean set of teeth on him. Which is, if you ask me, plenty scary enough, even if he's the size of a chihuahua. Sightings of Black Shuck go back a long, long way. One of the earliest written accounts comes from 1577, a time when longbow practice was still considered the height of entertainment, and both spelling and grammar were more or less at the discretion of the author. In his pamphlet, A Strange and Terrible Wonder, Reverend Abraham Fleming tells the tale of a night when the town of Bungay, or Bongay as he renders it, was assailed by a massive storm. At the height of the thunder and lightning, a black dog burst into the chapel and ran all along down the body of the church with great swiftness. So far, so spooky, but the worst is yet to come. As the dog passed between two members of the congregation, they dropped dead on the spot. The dog then attacked a third man, who was given, and I quote, such a gripe on the back that therewithal he was presently drawn together and shrunk up as it were a piece of leather scorched in a hot fire. Thankfully, we learn, this man survived his violent griping. Also, the clerk of the church, who was, for some reason, up cleaning the gutters during the worst storm in years, fell off the roof, but survived. Having wrought this not inconsiderable chaos, the dog departed, leaving some seriously terrified 16th century villagers in his wake. He then popped up again later that night in another church, a couple of villages over, pulled the same stunt, then fled, this time leaving behind some distinct scratch and burn marks on the church door, marks which remain visible to this day. Since then, sightings of and close encounters with Old Shuckster have continued throughout the centuries, all the way up to the modern day. Here's a cool one from just after World War II, as recounted by a Mr. S. W. Gilbert in 1983. I was cycling on a moonlit night. There were clouds in the sky and the time was about midnight. I had been to a darts match. I had had a drink, but it was in no way under the influence of drink. As I approached a part of the road where a pond was on one side and a wall on the other, a big black dog jumped out from the side of the road where the pond was. I would describe the dog as big as a large Labrador, with a smooth back but with shaggy hair hanging below its head and body. I did not notice its eyes, but it had large snarling teeth. It came at me at about crossbar height, growling and snarling. I must say I was terrified and expected to be knocked from my cycle and be bitten, but the next thing I saw was the dog on my right-hand side disappearing into the wall. I was shaking with fear and pedalled home very fast. That's just one story. There are many. People have seen Shuck skulking in the bushes or stalking them down a remote footpath. They've seen him disappear like a ghost in the night, or believed themselves to be doomed by the mere sound of his howl. Some have even described him as partially human, walking around on two legs. So what is Black Shuck, and why do accounts of the demon dog vary so wildly? The most rational explanation is that it's just a bunch of stray dogs or other animals that people have mistaken, time and again, for the same demonic entity. Encountering any kind of toothy, red-eyed, wild animal on a dark road at night is a scary experience. A combination of darkness, imagination, and pants-wetting terror can transform a momentary glimpse of a startled fox into a terrifying showdown with a hulking demon dog, especially if you happen to have the story of Black Shuck front and centre in your mind. But of course, it's also possible that there is some kind of cryptid out there. A red-eyed, shape-shifting dog that stalks and terrifies the unwary. It wouldn't, to be honest, be the strangest thing in the East Anglian countryside if there was. So what do you think? Have you ever encountered Black Shuck? Is there a local demon dog legend from your part of the world? Is it all just a bunch of, as they say, baloney? Leave a comment below and I'll see you next time. Bye!